Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Matthew Tonthat. I'm a board certified urologist, and I am here today to watch this video with you. I discovered it on my feed. It's another urologist, or so I thought, named Dr. Emma Blake, who is sharing how to take your penis to the gym, and lots of great information in this video. And I was listening to her, and she was sounding very robotic, but I wasn't sure if she was real or AI, which is a big issue these days. And then I was hearing her pronounce some of the medical terminology in a kind of weird, awkward way. I realized it is an AI urologist. I mean, she's not an actual person. And most of what she's saying is very good and can help people. I'm just going to watch it with y'all, share my thoughts, and let's get into it. So I'm playing this a little bit faster since she talks a little AI slow. So let's hear what she has to say.
Do you know you can take your penis to the gym and train it, much like you train biceps or calves, so the tissue stays healthier, more responsive, and less prone to age-related decline? Stay with me, and I'll show you exactly how and why that works, what to use, how often to use it, and how to do it safely. Quick note up front for men who like natural support and stronger erections while they build good habits. You will find my 2 recommended supplement links in the pinned comments below. Now let's start with the physiology. Testosterone is a key androgen that shapes masculine traits and supports libido, energy, focus, muscle mass, bone density, and mood stability. Men's testosterone levels are highest in their 20s and tend to decline gradually thereafter, about 1% per year on average beginning somewhere in the 30s. That's an average, not a mandate. Sleep debt, excess weight, untreated sleep apnea, chronic stress, smoking, heavy alcohol use, and metabolic conditions, hypertension, high cholesterol, insulin resistance, can accelerate that decline. Conversely, good sleep, strength training, cardio, nutrient-dense food, and stress control help preserve healthy levels. What does testosterone have to do with exercising the penis? The erectile bodies, the corpora cavernosa, are specialized smooth muscle sinusoids with abundant androgen receptors. Think of an androgen receptor like a keyhole and testosterone like the key. When the key engages the lock, a cascade of cellular signals promotes healthy smooth muscle tone, nitric oxide availability, and the ability of those sinusoids to relax, fill with blood, and compress the draining veins under the tunica albuginea, that tough sausage casing layer around the erectile tissue. That veno-occlusive mechanism is what keeps blood in the penis long enough for a firm erection. As men age, and or if androgens are chronically low, the composition of the corpora can shift. Less healthy smooth muscle, more collagen deposition, fibrosis. When there's more fibrosis and less compliant muscle, the tissue doesn't expand as well. The sinusoids don't press the tunica firmly enough. The emissary veins aren't compressed. Blood escapes too quickly. Clinically, we call that veno-occlusive dysfunction, often labeled venous leak. And it's one of the most common mechanisms behind erectile dysfunction. The simple translation, if the erectile muscle isn't used, oxygenated, and stretched regularly, it can atrophy and stiffen, and erections become less reliable. Now for the gym part. You can deliberately engorge the corpora.
So I like that. I like the use it or lose it type principle with health in general and specifically for erections as well. So these 2 areas, these are the corpora cavernosa. There's one on the right side and one on the left side of the penis, and they're like cylinders that engorge with blood. They're made of smooth muscle tissue, and the smooth muscle is what relaxes and fills with blood so that our penis can get hard for an erection. And how we keep the erection is it gets so engorged that it cuts off the venous return of the blood from the penis. Because if all the blood is returning back to the rest of the body, then you can't maintain the erection. So basically, the arteries, arterioles, the smooth muscle, they relax, and so much blood gets in there that it cuts off the blood flow from leaving the penis. And what happens as we get older and we're not as healthy, there will be naturally fibrosis, which means like scarring. So the tissue cannot expand as much because it's scarred, so it's going to be stiffer. And that's what leads to the, as we get older, our erections aren't as long as they used to be. And also, the erections are not as firm as they used to be. And also, if you think of it, if they're not getting as engorged as they were in the past, they're less likely to pinch off that venous return. And when there's less venous return, then there there's going to be what she's calling the venous leak, which is one of the more common causes of erectile dysfunction, but it's also associated with arterial insufficiency, which is where these smooth muscle walls of the arteries are not relaxing enough to hold enough blood. So they're kind of go hand in hand. I think it's less common that your erectile dysfunction is all from venous leak or all from arterial insufficiency that kind of go hand in hand.
Become oxygenated blood on a consistent schedule to keep the tissue supple, oxygen-rich, and capable of expanding. Spontaneous nocturnal erections do some of that maintenance for you. Intercourse and masturbation do as well. But as men get older, or when stress, illness, or life circumstances reduce sexual frequency, those workouts can happen less often. That's where a medical-grade vacuum erection device, VED, commonly called a penis pump, becomes a practical tool. A VED is a clear cylinder with a base that seals against the body, attached to a manual or battery pump. When you place the penis into the cylinder and create gentle negative pressure, arterial blood is drawn into the corpora. Used correctly, you achieve a full, comfortable engorgement. That stretch and oxygenation are the exercise. Over time, regular sessions help maintain tissue elasticity, reduce hypoxia-driven fibrosis, and condition the veno-occlusive mechanism. You're not tearing muscle like in bodybuilding. You're training smooth muscle and sinusoidal tissue to fill and seal effectively. Here's how to use a VED safely and productively. Choose a medical-grade device that fits your base well and comes with.
So what she's talking about here is using vacuum erection device, which she's calling a VED. This is one of the terms that I heard her say, and I kind of was like, okay, this is AI, because we generally will say VED, a vacuum erection device. And basically you're creating a vacuum around the penis to pull blood into the penis to make up for the arterial insufficiency or the venous leak that's keeping you from getting erections. And we don't really tend to recommend, or we don't really learn about using the VEDs, the vacuum erection devices, to work out the penis, but I do like the principle of it. And it makes sense that if you keep these smooth muscle arterioles, if you keep the erectile bodies of the penis like getting full over a regular basis, it's going to maintain that elasticity to continue to be able to get erections. So I mean, it makes sense in theory. So let's hear more about what Dr. Blake says in terms of this protocol, this workout regimen.
With proper instructions. Trim pubic hair for a better seal, and apply a small amount of water-based lubricant to the base.
Gotta trim the pubes.
Insert the
sure.
penis into the cylinder. Seat the base comfortably against the body. Avoid painful pressure on the scrotal skin, and begin pumping slowly. The goal is a firm, comfortable engorgement. Never pain, deep purple discoloration, or bruising. Once fully engorged, hold for about 30-60 seconds. Release the vacuum to let the penis rest, and repeat that cycle for a total of 10 minutes. Think intervals, not a single long hold. If your clinician has advised a constriction ring for ED management during intercourse, you may apply it at the base after engorgement to maintain rigidity, but never wear a ring for longer than 30 minutes and never sleep with it on. Frequency matters. For tissue maintenance and conditioning, aim for at least 3 sessions per week. Daily is reasonable for many men if sessions are comfortable and brief. Do not exceed roughly 10 minutes per session, and avoid doing more than 2 short sessions per day. Overpumping or marathon sessions don't help. They fatigue tissue and increase risk of bruising or edema. If you experience pain, numbness, coldness, or persistent discoloration, stop and let the tissue recover. Gentle, consistent, oxygen-rich engorgement is the goal. You can combine the pump with other smart practices. A daily walk.
Yeah, so this is good advice that she's giving to not overpump, because while we are taking our penis to the gym, the penis is not made up of skeletal muscle. Like it's not like working our pecs or our biceps or our glutes or our quads. It's more like stretching out a balloon so that it can continue to be stretched out. I mean, it's so that it can continue to hold blood, and you don't want to overstretch it because injury to the corpora, these erectile bodies, is what can also cause scarring because you get an injury there and it's like having a cut and then it has to heal and then it scars. And when it scars, it causes the same issue where it cannot expand or dilate and hold as much blood. Actually, if you've ever heard of Peyronie's, which is curvature of the penis, that results from a scar in the erectile bodies. And this scar results in a contraction of that area. So that part of the penis doesn't get as engorged. So it's shorter. And when it's shorter on one side or the other, that's the side it curves towards. And that's called Peyronie's. And it's associated with a fibrotic plaque, a small scarred area of the penis, and the erectile portion of the penis that makes the penis curve towards that side. So if this scar is on the left side, you're going to curve to the left. If this scar is on the right, you're going to curve to the right. Same up and down. So that is a key distinction between working out skeletal muscle or working out smooth muscle.
Engorgement is the goal. You can combine the pump with endothelial art practices. A daily walk and 2 or 3 weekly strength sessions improve endothelial function and testosterone, which support erections from the inside. If you have a sedentary job, get up hourly. Pelvic blood flow benefits. Manage blood pressure, blood sugar, and lipids. Treat sleep apnea if you snore and wake unrefreshed.
Actually, I was thinking working out the penis is more like cardio than resistance training, because resistance training is we're trying to get the muscle to be stronger. Cardio is more like we're trying to get blood flowing through the tissue. And so that's what we're trying to do with using the vacuum erection device. So it's more like cardio for the penis. And that's why things like getting up hourly, taking walks, having good vascular health is good for erections.
Moderate alcohol. Stop smoking. Those changes move the biggest levers for erectile quality. If your clinician agrees, you can also pair a VED session with a pre-session nitric oxide supporting supplement, like L-citrulline from organic watermelon extract, about 30-60 minutes beforehand, to support inflow during your intervals. Use a base ring only if you've been counseled on correct selection, placement, and time limits. A few clarifications. A VED is not a lengthening device. It conditions erectile function. For men hoping to add length, the only non-surgical approach with modest evidence is a dedicated penile traction protocol with a reputable extender, worn for hours daily over many months, typically producing small average gains in flaccid stretched length. That is a separate therapy with its own cautions and should be done under medical guidance. Do not inject any substance into your penis for enhancement. Fill under medical guidance.
Yeah, in terms of penis enhancement, penile length enhancement, there's not really anything that works well. And I've heard of these traction devices for penile lengthening, and I understand that the idea is you're literally stretching out these corporal bodies, and if they're stretched out, then they can theoretically hold more blood. But you want to stretch it slowly enough that you're not causing damage to that endothelium, the walls of the blood vessels, and to that smooth muscle, because that can result in scarring, which is gonna make it shorter and make it curved. So in general, I recommend against any attempts at lengthening the penis because it takes a lot of, it's just not it's not worth the tiny amount of potential gains and what I would say is the significant risk of creating more problems like curvature, scarring, or pain. So what you were born with is still the best we got.
That is a separate therapy with its own cautions and should be done under medical guidance. Do not inject any substance into your penis for enhancement. Fillers, oils, and unregulated products can lead to ulcers, scarring, deformity, and delayed disasters years later. And cosmetic lengthening surgeries outside reconstructive indications remain experimental with significant risks. Let's return to the core. Use it or lose it idea. Every time you achieve a healthy erection, whether nocturnal, sexual, or via VED, you're perfusing and stretching the corpora, rehearsing the veno-occlusive seal, and signaling the tissue to stay compliant instead of fibrosing. If life has reduced those opportunities, schedule them. Think prevention and maintenance, not rescue after things have declined. Here's a simple weekly plan you can follow. On 3 to 5 days per week, do a 10-minute VED interval session. Slow pump to comfortable engorgement. Hold 30-60 seconds. Release. Repeat. On 2 or 3 days, add brief pelvic floor awareness. During the rest period, practice 2 sets of 5 slow, gentle pelvic floor contractions, as if stopping urine midstream. Each contraction lasting 3 seconds with a full 3-second release. No squeezing glutes or breath holding. Walk 30 minutes most days and do 2 strength sessions. Push, pull, hinge, squat. Sleep 7-8 hours nightly and protect a wind-down routine so morning erections have a chance. If you and your clinician decide a constriction ring is right for intercourse, practice application and removal during a VED session so you're smooth and safe in the moment. Remember the 30-minute max rule. Common questions I hear. Will pumping make me bigger? It can make you temporarily fuller due to engorgement. The durable benefit is better erectile quality, not permanent size increase. Can I overdo it? Yes, more is not better. Pain, dark bruising, or persistent swelling means you're pumping too hard or too long. What if I'm on blood thinners? You can still use a VED, but you must be gentle and clear it with your clinician. Bruising risk is higher. I have Peyronie's disease. Does a pump help? VEDs can be part of a multimodal plan for Peyronie's under urologist supervision, often alongside traction and medications. Don't self-treat significant curvature without guidance. One last word on hormones. If you have symptoms of low testosterone, low desire, low morning erections, fatigue, loss of muscle, depressed mood, get evaluated. Correcting sleep apnea, losing visceral fat, and training consistently can raise levels. Some men will still qualify for carefully monitored testosterone therapy. That's a medical conversation, not a supplement aisle decision, and it must include fertility goals, prostate screening, hematocrit monitoring, and shared decision-making about risks and benefits. You can absolutely exercise your penis. Do it gently, consistently, and safely. Keep the tissue perfused and pliable, protect the veno-occlusive mechanism, and combine your gym plan with the lifestyle levers that improve blood flow and hormones. That combination, not a shortcut, keeps erections strong across the decades. As promised, for men who like natural support while they build these habits, 2 options patients often ask about are organic watermelon extract, L-citrulline, to support nitric oxide in circulation, and an advanced performance formula that combines icarian, tonkat ali, fenugreek, nettle root, and citrulline to support erections, stamina, testosterone, and prostate health. They won't lengthen the penis, but they can complement your sleep, training, and VD work by assisting blood flow and sexual energy. You'll find links in the comments and in the video description.
Yeah, I wanted to go over this kind of workout plan she had. She has a pelvic and vascular health training program here that you have your vacuum erection device schedule where you're like at 10-minute intervals, 3 to 5 days per week. You're engorging and holding for 30 seconds at a time and then releasing and repeating. And then the pelvic floor training. This, I think, is really important. The pelvic floor is so important. There's all these muscles down in the pelvis, skeletal muscles under our voluntary control that we use. Classically, it's the Kegel. The Kegel is, let's say you're taking a leak, you're going pee, and you want to stop the stream, and you squeeze. That's a Kegel. And that's the muscle that we want to be able to relax completely in order for us to urinate, for us to poop, and for us to have proper sexual function. And most people don't really think about this, and we go about our lives, and these muscles become very tight. And I see many patients who have problems like ball pain, testicular pain, or penile pain, pelvic pain, urinary symptoms, sexual symptoms. And everything that I get in terms of blood tests, urine tests, physical exam, everything's fine, but they're having all these terrible symptoms. The thing that I most attribute that to is pelvic floor dysfunction. So these sorts of exercises and stretches can really help in terms of the pelvic pain, urinary symptoms, sexual symptoms. And those include erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation, and pain with erections, pain with ejaculation. So that's important. Some sort of pelvic floor training or awareness or stretching, especially if you're having issues here. Also wanted to talk about these supplements. I looked into citrulline specifically, and that's a non-essential amino acid. It is a precursor to nitric oxide, which is used in the pathway that dilates the small arteries of the erectile bodies. So by taking this supplement, you're potentially increasing your stores of nitric oxides to help with the erections, and it can help with the erections, and but there's not been a ton of evidence that shows like significant improvement. So in closing here, there are ways to work out your penis, and it's basically by using it. And using it meaning having erections. Our body does that normally. We get erections at night, and that's our body's way of exercising our penis, of using our penis. Though as we get older, those nocturnal erections are less common. So this is where working it out with things like masturbation, sexual activity, a vacuum erection device could be beneficial. But the best thing is the basics of health. That's your diet, your routine, your sleep, your exercise. Also, this whole AI urologist, this is kind of wild, but what she's saying, most of it is helpful. So I can't really knock it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.